This is a Renew Studios Network podcast. Faithful, uplifting, family-focused.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Relationships and Reason. We are, again, always grateful for you joining us for these incredible conversations as we reflect and think about whether it's marriage or leadership or community, and just really get into some of the things that we're dealing on a day-to-day basis. And this is another one that I think is going to be thought-provoking for you. Before we jump into that conversation, I want to encourage you all again to like, subscribe, do all the following and things that you do on social media with Relationships and Reason. Follow us for more content and information. And then also, if you are a company that is interested in walking alongside us as we continue to share and have these conversations, we would love to speak with you. So reach out to us and we'll get that going. So, hey, hon, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
How are
Thank
you doing?
I am great, actually.
Yeah.
I'm great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. That's wonderful.
Well, today we're going to be talking about marriage in the age of distraction. Marriage in the age of distraction. You feel like we're living in a distracted age right now?
Just let's talk about life in the age of distraction. I want to talk about that. Marriage will be a component, but life in the age of distraction.
Okay. Well, married life.
Married life. Life.
Okay. So life makes me
If
think
you're
of the
married,
movie Life.
maybe. But overall,
You go
this
eat your
is the age
cornbread.
of distraction. See what I'm talking about? Distracted.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I gauged this conversation on marriage, but yeah, we can segue to life, right? Okay. Well, marriage today looks a little bit different than it did 20, 30, 50 years ago. We live in a world now that's full of all sorts of distraction, phone buzzing, social media scrolling, endless work demands are getting more and more. The pressure to keep up with everyone else's highlight reels. You've been looking at these highlight reels and you'd be like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing with my life? And in the middle of the noise, our marriage can easily get pushed to the background. We know that to be the case. But the truth is, connection doesn't just happen. It has to be chosen, right? Like we have to protect marriage. We have to protect friendships. We have to protect our family. We have to nurture those things in order for those relationships to advance, to grow, to be meaningful. So in today's episode, we are going to be talking about what it looks like to have a strong marriage, a strong life, the things that you want to get out of it, rather than what the world is telling you that you should do or what your life should look like. So yeah, let's jump into it. I was listening to this when I was working out this morning. I was listening to Jim Rohn in one of his motivational conversations, and he was talking about how the world is going to always tell you what you're supposed to do or what you're supposed to look like, and if you're not careful, then you will change who you are or the things that you even believe in to fit the world system or to fit the lifestyle of what the world is telling you that you're supposed to be like. And then you will look up 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now and be like, what? Who am I? Like, that's not my core beliefs. Like, when did I get to this point? So if we're not careful, we will eventually become people that we never even imagined that our lives would be. It reminds me of the scripture that talks about planting the weeds and the wheat, right? If you're not careful, to nurture the weed, the weeds are going to grow, right? And something is going to take over, right? So it's just a matter of like, what do you want to take over? And don't think that it won't, right? Where you think, okay, I can just manage it and like go through life thinking that it's not a big deal. But yeah.
That is, I mean, for me, it absolutely resonates. I am the type of person that, one, thrives on like ideas and innovation and opportunities and all of these different things. I love that, I love seeing new things happen.
Yes, you have a lot of ideas.
Lots of ideas.
Lots and lots of ideas.
Right, never out of an idea, right? And so like this resonates a lot for me because there's a time for that, and it's not all the time.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
It's not all the time that we need to have a new thing, a new shiny thing happening in our life, and I just really. Again, I wanna discuss this and then again maybe have some engagement and conversation offline and with other speakers. But I think it's so important. I just really I feel like a few years ago I was walking downtown San Antonio into the Pearl. Shout out to the Pearl District if y'all haven't gone to the Pearl District, one of my favorite places in the world, like overall, San Antonio and the Pearl. So I was walking down there and I just remember, I was just looking around and it kind of just hit me that a lot of these people were, and this is not just San Antonio or the Pearl, this is everywhere, right? I was in a crowded space and I just had a moment of reflection and I was looking around and I was like, man, a lot of these people are kind of walking around and their lives right now are sort of a result of what they have just kind of allowed to happen or to take room and take space into their life. You know what I mean?
That's really good. Yeah.
It just like hit me during that time. I was like, man, I don't want to just one day be because of allowing just whatever was happening to dictate my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to make sure that we were living intentionally and that wherever I was in life, that there was a purpose behind it and it was purposeful in getting there.
Yeah.
And so I just think right now especially, there's this huge danger in allowing things to just happen because there's so many distractions.
Absolutely.
From all over the place.
Yes.
Right? And you know what? I think it's very different than it was. We can make the argument. I think a lot of people can make the argument and saying, hey, there's always been distraction since the dawn of the ages, right? There can always, people say there were always distractions, but no, I think it's very different, the type of distractions that we have today that is taking up, our space in our minds in a different way that calls us away from being with people. Right?
Face to face with people.
Face to face with people.
Yes.
Building relationships. And it's so systematic. Like it is actually designed. It's created in order to do that. People have understood, right? Business creators, right? Whether it's those apps that we spend a lot of times on, they understand the technologies, they understand the techniques and the things now to do in order to like keep your time and to keep you in a particular space for a period of time because it can benefit them. They understand that, right? It is a science now today to understand how to psychologically hold somebody in a space for a period of time and how to get you back to that space whenever they want you to. It's not the same as it was before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think a practical example of that is just like video games.
Yes.
back in the day, people would create video games just to engage and to like have fun of like getting from one goal to the next, right? You know, you pass a stage or it's a challenging stage and it was fun. And we probably in that time like explore, oh, there's, you know, some dopamine effect in here that I love kind of going to this next level and so forth. But no, the way that games, the way that apps, the way that things, website, the smallest things in our society are designed today is for you to like stay in that thing because somebody's going to benefit financially from that.
Wow.
And it's a crazy time that we're living in.
Absolutely.
It's not the same.
It is not the same. And you can tell obviously how passionate you are about this, and because of the psychological effect and what it's actually taken away from us.
Yeah.
Right. We can be in a space where we have like a lot of following or a lot of engagement even on these video games, if we use that example, to where we have, you know, friends in these video games, but we don't really know them,
we don't know them.
right?
Yeah.
And we have the followers and we have people engaging in our posts, but we don't really know them.
Right.
So when it comes to like when we are struggling in life and we have like a situation that we want to deal with, and you just like, I just want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Like I want to go hang out and I want to feel like somebody know me for who I truly am.
Yeah.
But we have a bunch of followers and we don't really
Still feel lonely.
still feel lonely. Yeah, we definitely living in a space where loneliness is the I don't know, I don't want to use the word epidemic,
It
but
is,
but it's a space where people just want to feel connected, but it's interesting because we're so hooked to our phones. We want to feel connected, but we are hooked to our phones. So even when we're engaging with people, we still feel like we have to be connected to our phones, right? Even in the middle or in the presence of other people.
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously a big distraction in our life today is the phone.
Yeah.
The fact that that's one of the things that's different now than back in the day. You know, like, you know, back in the day when you had just one TV,
Right.
a black and white TV, that's the only entertainment you have in the house. So whatever parents are watching, that's what you're watching, right? You don't have like a bunch of TVs in every room.
Yeah,
and
you don't have everything curated to your liking.
Yes. And so things were a little bit different back then, but obviously now it's like, no, my phone is my whole entertainment factor, right? I have my games on there, obviously social media on there. I have a website on there. You can do homework. You can do anything. You can build a business from your phone and all the things that you have right there in the palm of your hand. So you kind of quote unquote don't really need people, right? If you have the phone. But at the same time, it's not good for a man to be alone. So we need.
It's a deception. It's a huge deception. And like you said, it feels maybe for a lot of us, it touches on a lot of things. So for some subset of people might feel efficient, right? If you're the productivity type and you feel like, okay, I want to accomplish all of these things, you having this device or you having, you know, these technologies helps you to say, okay, I'm getting a lot done. I have all the things that I need on this particular thing. I need to pay attention to it at all times. I have the justification behind that. Right. You probably feel there's probably another subset of individuals that feel that you have, you know, you have maybe an escape, right? You know, things are stressful. Life is hard. You know, everything that I need here that can relax me and get me into another place, it's here as well, right? So I can rely on that. There's probably there's different subsets, and it's crazy because the way that it is designed, and I'm not just talking about the phone, but just a lot of how society is designed today, whether it's, you know, television or just entertainment overall.
In general.
You know, the way that it is designed, it is curated, so that whatever it is that you like, it will be found and it will be shown to you in a way that helps you to continue to engage with it as much as possible.
Yeah. And the two things I want to point out: if you are the productive type and you are like, okay, I have to be on my phone, I think you do this where you have to turn off the notifications, right, in order to be productive, because if you live on your phone and you get notifications all the time, we know notifications is coming. I mean, I have ESPN on my phone, and it's like constantly ESPN is like popping up with some sort of news or something with our kids' school is like always sending something, and you just like you're constantly like, okay, touching it, like what just happened? Is my kids okay? So also the notification is popping up. So even if you're trying to be productive on your phone, the things that you are finding to be purposeful in your life can also be distractions, right? So if you are productive, how do you manage to be productive on your phone when you are getting a bunch of notifications?
Right. I mean, the stat here is that 46 to 146 notifications per day. Like, what can you get done? And imagine, you put all these different apps on your phone.
Right.
You put all these different things, and all of them want to send something to you. It's important in order for them to do and be effective as an application or, it's not. So, like, what can we do with that much distraction? In fact, we're living in that, right?
We are living in it.
We are living in that. Yeah, I haven't had notifications, like, turned on in my phone for, like, 3 years. Like everything that comes on, like it automatically gets do not notify me for anything. And there's still so much, right? That's fighting for your attention.
That sneaks in there.
I mean, like emails for me is like one of the bad things. Like that's one of the notifications I keep on. And it's just, even in the way, again, that it is designed, even the phone features, is that, I find myself every few minutes, like pulling down my what is it, the tab or whatever, to see, okay, did an email come in here for the company or whatever that I need to check and I need to respond to, or do I need to go in and do I need to do the pull down in order to refresh this? You know what I mean? And so there's so many different things that just like captures you. And let's talk about, like, what are the things that those distractions, like, might be keeping you from?
Well, I mean, everything, like for me, there are times when even when I get on Instagram, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be in here for like 15 minutes. And for me personally, if I don't set a timer, I'm going to look up and it's like 25 minutes later. And I'm like, okay, let me just look at another video or something. Or let me just see what else is happening. Or let me go to this person, and I'm like searching for these other people. But there's something that I needed to get done. Let's say, okay, I'm trying to, like the other day, I was cooking some thin spaghetti for dinner, and we usually use regular spaghetti, but I chose thin spaghetti, and they cook a little bit faster.
Okay.
So I'm in the back room and I'm like scrolling on Instagram or something like that. Next thing I'm like, something smells like it's burning. And our kids are like in the living room playing or whatever. And I'm coming around. I'm like, y'all didn't smell that? They were like, yeah, we did, but we thought it was okay. So,
I thought it was the seasoning that it was the.
No, the spaghetti got burned because I was in the back there on Instagram. So what needs to happen? You have things to do.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of making dinner, but at the same time trying to be on Instagram. So you can't be so distracted that you can burn spaghetti.
Exactly. Burn your food. Hey, no, but
that's
for
just
real,
a little.
that's
a silly example, but it's true.
That is a microcosm, of the, like, truly, there's a fundamental shift in society, and I think we talked about this not too long ago, where now it's what we see all the time, right? Now we begin to associate, perhaps, in years before, you're in a community and being a part of a community, you get to understand like what's important through the relationships, through the interactions that you were having with the individuals and the relationships that you were building. You got to understand what's important. But now with everything pulling us, internal or digitally, right, or online, we get to think differently about what is important in life, right? Just a few years ago, I think we talked about this not so long ago. Just a few years ago, when kids were asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?"
Yeah.
Astronauts was like that's the top of the thing, right?
Yeah.
And a large part of it was because we would see those images on TV, and that especially when we had limited channels and so forth. So everybody was, kind of seeing, those astronauts, or even even with sports, right? You saw those same things, like, what do you want to be? And a lot of kids, especially in underserved communities, they would say, "Oh, I want to be the next professional athlete," or something along those lines. So like we were being drawn to those channels that were, kind of now showing us like what is important in our society. And like now today, right, you ask a child what do they want to be, and it's often a content creator, right? Or
Right.
an influencer,
Yeah.
right? And you got to think about it. We talked about this not so long ago, like surely God did not call all of us to be creators, content creators.
Same way he didn't call everybody to be an astronaut.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. But those things, it fundamentally, I think, has shifted society. And I think for us, we have to, take moments like this to step back and say, okay, what am I seeing, and why am I seeing all of these things? Is it because it's being constantly fed to me? Like, am I distracted from my actual purpose?
Right.
Or what is important? Have I been given the chance, or maybe I've been given the chance, but have I taken the chance to be diligent, be intentional about my relationship building outside of this digital sphere?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the part of the conversation that we had earlier also was, people wanted to be doctors and lawyers and all those things, astronauts. But when you think about all the schooling that it takes to get there, right? Yeah. And you are the goal was that you're gonna make a lot of money, or be somebody, quote unquote, in society. While as today in the digital era, you don't have to go to all that school. Yeah. You have a talent, you have something that you like to do, and you can create a space for that. Yeah. And you can make as much money or even more money now than the doctors and lawyers and stuff. So it kind of like almost, I'm guessing it'll be like, well, why go to school? Sure. Why go to school if you can just already make the money in that sense? So the world is different in that area. But I think ultimately, we are lacking the connection that you were talking about. And even if whether you became a doctor or an astronaut back in the day, or whether you're a content creator and you have 1 million followers on your Instagram, there comes a time when you are needing face-to-face personal connection and personal relationships. And I think if we are not intentional to build those things on our way to success, or whatever God's calling us to, whether God's calling us to ministry or God's calling us to sports, there has to be intentional time carved out in your life to build community. Yeah. Because we all gonna need it, right. Whether we are, like I said, content creators. And we don't need anybody to make our content creators, because you can make, 7 images of yourself now doing, different things. So you kind of, quote unquote, don't really need people for your content. But at the same time, like, life is so challenging, that it is going to cause you to need people, right? For whatever stage, for whatever level, for wherever you go, you are going to need that face-to-face relationship, that face-to-face connection. And I think our life can become so distracted now that we think we don't need them. We think we don't need people. We think we don't need relationships until we do, right? But at that point, people can feel so lost and lonely that things can go not good, because they're like, well, I was famous, and I thought I have so many people follow me, but now I'm in a bind. Yeah. Who do I call? Right. So.
Yeah. And I feel like the thing that I'm hearing really from what you're sharing is that with we're making a choice every time, and whether it's whether it is the digital kind of things that we put our attentions to, there is a choice that we're making, and essentially it boils down to time.
Time.
Right?
Yes.
And you can allocate your time, or you can get your time basically taken from you through these notifications, all of these things, if you continue to just like float, right? So we can allocate our time to perhaps what's online, what's engaging online. And we're not saying like I'm not saying that these things are like, everything online is bad, or you shouldn't, become a content creator or whatever, right? We're in a different time, but if we are allocating that time over there, right, and not anywhere else, especially in relationships, then there's going to be a lack, right? There's going to be a lack where the time is not adequately provided. And we know that in order to have really good relationships, it takes time.
It takes time.
Right?
In order to have a good relationship with marriage, it takes that one-on-one, face-to-face time. Because we know one of the worst things is to be in a room with someone trying to have a conversation and they're distracted, right? They're not giving you your full attention when it comes to like marriage and in partnership and that type of stuff. So yes, the time, it's definitely necessary.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm thinking about even for young kids right now that have those relationships with other kids online, and they play games together. There's some satisfaction there where you're gathering together, but again, what is it when the game is removed? Do you have a relationship outside of that? Have you spent enough time out of that context in order to like actually have a friend when you need that person?
You need that person. That's the thing. Is the friendship when you need it, and not just a friendship online, but a friendship face to face, and it's not like, oh, my friend is in a different city or whatever. Like, you have a best friend and somebody that that, hey, I'm struggling, and I know I can reach out to this person. So it's not a fake friendship, or your friend moved away. Like, for a fact you have a friend. And I think that's what a lot of us are missing, right? That connection, and that's where the social platform has distracted us to feel like we have so many people following us that we don't need. And that's also the deception that your life is so put together. You have everything that you need. Like, I can pay for friends, right? Like, why are you so sad? But you have everything that you want, right? Like, why are you, what is it? Like, you have everything that you want. Like, what else can you want, right? But what's lacking is friendship or relationship, and that could be relationship with your parents, relationship with your siblings, relationships with the people that you grew up with, but having those kind of spaces or people that you can call on when things go a little bit, and you can express your true emotions. I feel like not very many people feel safe to do that.
Yeah, that takes time. It really does take time, and it makes me think as well about well, let's see. So one, we're talking a lot about some of these new sort of new age, these new technologies that are distracting time. But obviously we know, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, there are other timeless distractions, things that we even internally have within us that keep us from what we're supposed to be doing, or our calling, and just like, living a purposeful life. Again, I mentioned, whether that's just like not being able to dedicate time and effort to something, right? In order to, and having patience, right? I think that's a part of like why some of us choose to be distracted, because we don't have the patience to sit with the growth and the things that need to happen.
Absolutely.
And so it feels a lot more exciting. It feels better for sure.
For sure, it feels
to
better.
like try new things.
Well, and another segue for that is you having a tough conversation with your spouse, with your friend, and it's a hard conversation.
Yeah, squirrel.
Right?
Right? Like what's going on out there?
Something went wrong. You have to sit in it,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, I don't want to be dealing with this right now. Like, I'd rather just go and scroll on social media. Like, you know, let me just ignore the problem. On social, you're not facing your own problems, right? So, you don't have I don't have the patience to sit here and listen to you right now.
Yeah.
Tell me about this problem that you are going on. Like, you just need to figure this out, right? And so people are like, okay, so just get up and move out of that space, right? And that took relationships and everything, marriage. It takes time to build, and it takes the patience to sit in the space and the times when you need to, when things are falling apart. Like I'm gonna need you present here right now. Like I don't need you be thinking about what notifications that you're missing, what game you're missing, you know, what book you're not reading. So it's not just on social media, but it's like a basketball game you think that you have to go to or have to watch. It's a book that you think you have to read to build up yourself or your professional development. All of these things that because I know sometimes we think of like just Instagram or TikTok and those kind of things that are distraction to us, but we can make anything. Yeah. We can literally make anything a distraction to keep us from even spending time with our kids. You're like, I got a paper to write. Sorry, kids, I can't play with you right now, right? Or I got a book to write. I can't play with you right now. But all those things can be what we are using to get out of the time and the necessity to build relationships. To build relationships. And again, we go back and preface this in understanding that, you know, a distraction, what is a distraction, right? You have to be able to define that because... And be real with it. And be real with it. Be real right? That like, you know, why is this actually a distraction? Why is this, it's a distraction because it's not allowing me to do what? Right. I think I love one of my favorite books is Indistractable by Nir Eyal, and I've talked about other books that he's done before on the podcast, but he talks about, you know, one of the first stages of becoming indistractable and moving towards, you know, impactful life and doing what you're supposed to do is, first of all, like just defining the distraction. You can't call something a distraction if you actually, if you can't define it, what it is, and if you can't understand what it is distracting you from. Okay. Right? Like it has to be, you have to figure it out, because if you perhaps, if content creation is truly this passion and something that you are gifted and something to do, and you are doing something other than that, then you can't say going online and scrolling and learning is a distraction, right? Because you have to truly define what it is. And so anyways, I think that's a huge part of it, is truly understanding, like, what is this definition of distraction for you, and what is it distracting you from? What are you supposed to be doing? What do you feel called to be doing in order to do that? Because I think if you don't wrestle with that, if you don't figure that out, it's always going to be this question of like, you have justifications, right, for the reason of being distracted. Yeah. Right? And that's so good, because I feel like, I mean, obviously we are followers of Jesus, and we feel like the Holy Spirit is constantly talking to us on a daily basis, and he's put within our spirits the things that he wants us to do for him, for the kingdom to advance. These things may not be fancy looking or flashy for social platform. And you know, obviously we live in a time now, in a culture now, where you have to, quote unquote, put everything that you're doing online in order for people to see. Yeah. But the Bible says, hey, when you're praying, go into your closet and pray to the Father in heaven, because he sees you. He sees you there. Like, don't go out and shout and broadcast all that you're doing, which obviously we're living in a culture where you got to do that. And so, and the crazy thing, sorry, I want to interrupt right there, is that the crazy thing is that
we see what I got quotation marks up, fruits of, sharing that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But here's the interesting thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, is the Bible says that's all the reward that you will get.
Come on. Yeah.
That's that when Jesus says, if you go and try to make everybody see it, that is all the reward that you will get. And so for me, when I'm doing something, I'm like, Lord, I want you to reward me. I don't want other people to, because when the Lord rewards, we know that his reward is like overflowing, like your cup overflowing. And so we talked about being distracted, and it's like, if the Lord is asking you to do something and you're thinking like, okay, well, I got to post this on social media. In that space of doing what you are doing, and if you're thinking about posting on social media, you are not in the middle of doing what you're doing because you're thinking about posting. Yeah. It's kind of like playing like an athlete going and they're doing a workout, but they're recording it in order to post it of what they're doing.
You're supposed to be working out for an hour. You spend 40 minutes.
40 minutes like recording and going to check, was that right? So then you only worked out for like 15 minutes, right? And so you didn't get your hour workout in because you're just kind of constantly checking to make sure that it's coming out the way that
you got good content.
Correct. Yeah. Right. So it's like we can get distracted from what the Lord is asking us to do, especially if it's not a postable thing that where you have to post, where it can be posted on social media. So then the question becomes like, okay, if it is only God who sees this, is that enough? Is that enough? And is my world enough for me if it's not being shown on the social platform, which is where we feel like all of us, I mean, I do, we feel like if, like, okay, well, people need to see this stuff, right? But God's the only one that's seeing it. Okay, well, God, is this enough? Is this enough? So we can be distracted from the very things that the Lord is calling us to, because we feel like we got to post it on social media.
Yeah, while y'all are saying that, like and subscribe. I'm playing around. I'm messing around. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, for real though. Seriously, no, but I think that is a part. And again, I don't want to put the focus just solely on this social aspect of it, because it truly is like just a different time in this world, in this society.
Yeah, absolutely. We are anything and everything that can take us from doing what we feel, what the Lord has called us to do, what we feel in our spirit we were born to do. It's going to take us away from that, because the world is not there to like make sure you succeed. It's there to make sure you give the world what it wants, right? And if you're going against the grain and saying, okay, well, the Lord has called me to be in the background, and you're like, background, right? Like, I'm not trying to do that. I could be out here having my own platform, right? And so whatever it is that's going to keep you distracted from what your calling is, from what inside your spirit that you just enjoy and love to do. If you love to do it, and then the world's like, hey, you can do this other thing and you're going to get all this attention, but in your spirit you feel like you're going to do something, you should be doing something else that's not going to get any attention, or not as much attention, or it's not that pretty, then what do you do? And so then you look up 5 years from now and you're like, I don't know, whichever path you take your life can go in two separate directions. So then you got to figure out like, which direction do I want to go? It's the same thing with marriage. Like, decide, okay, how do I want my marriage to be? Right? Am I going to look on all these social platform, whether entertainment magazines, TV, and all this stuff, to see what quote unquote they're saying a perfect marriage look like for people you're following? Right. And then next thing you know, in 6 months, they're not married anymore. And you're like, oh my goodness, I thought, we should have been like them. And so the habits that you set in place to create which direction your marriage is going to go to, because it's going to go one way or the other, right? But in order for it to succeed, you have to put in the time. And the energy. It's with your kids, it's with your friendships. You have to put in the time. You have to set up moments, you have to set up space, you have to set up boundaries, 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 you have to set up boundaries,
Yeah.
where you know for a fact it's gonna grow, even if it grows slowly. You know.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to have that patience, and to trust God in that direction, that that you can be faithful. We think about some of the saints of old that were described as steadfast. Right. And for us in this society today, truly, like I'm just more and more impressed, more and more just grateful to those that you can point to and say they are steadfast in
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Because it's truly difficult for people today to remain, right? Whether it's remain in your marriage, remain in a conversation, to
Yeah.
just remain, right? So that you can develop whatever that is supposed to be,
Yes.
for it to be developed in what it's supposed to be. I remember reading a book a number of years ago. Ron, he's an astronaut. Got a chance to meet with him in 2019, or meet him in 2019, and he talked about this. Orbital Perspective is the name of the book, and he spoke about this perspective that he had when he was, as an astronaut, going out into space and seeing the world, and then realizing that there are so many similarities that we have. When he goes out there and he's looking at the world from space, he's not seeing any borders, right, that are separating us, and all of the things that we're fighting for or fighting against here on Earth. None of that seemed to like matter, and just kind of looking like, man, we're all on this earth trying to move towards like purpose and community and fellowship and all of that. And one of the things that he said during that time is just like, how can we like focus on the building those relationships? And he says one of the things that we need to do is, first of all, focus on like just not thinking about like starting or just dedicating to something new all the time. Because so many people have gone before and seen and had that perspective, and what they want to do, they've introduced those ideas already, or suggested like these are the things that we need to move forward. But so many times, because a lot of times it's easier for us to pick up something new or to challenge, something, we don't stay in the things that are unsexy. You know what I mean? We just want to do the new things in order to just maybe introduce something new or say we're innovative, but we don't stay. We don't remain, and we don't fulfill those things, those commitments that we put together a long time ago.
I love that because life is mundane a lot of the times.
Good life, like good
A
life,
good
right?
life. A good life
Come
is
on.
mundane a lot of the
Yeah.
times. But obviously, we want everybody to think that we're living this
Man.
like flashy
Yeah,
life
spontaneity. what is spontaneous, right?
all the time, right? But there are so many points in our life where it's just like, hey, we just gonna show up and we're gonna get through today. And there's nothing exciting today. There's nothing exciting this year. There's not much going on. We're just here, and that's what life is. But we, like you're saying, that we get distracted because we feel like we got to do something super, super cool, all the time, because then we're not living if we're not.
Yeah.
Right. But we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. I could talk about this. This is, obviously something that's very important, but very, very passionate about.
You can tell he's extremely passionate about this space and the distraction of social and all the things that brings. Obviously, we're not saying social media is bad. Obviously, there's great things that happens with it, but we got to be mindful of if we want to build, right?
Yeah.
That distraction will always be there, right? But the relationships that we really want to have, those won't always be there if we choose to give into the distractions.
Yeah.
You know, the spouse may not be there. The kids are going to grow up and leave, right? The friendship may not still be there. But if you put in the work to keep them there, they'll be there, right? So we got to be mindful that at the end of the day, all the emails, the likes, the scrolling, all of those things fade away at some point in our life. But what lasts is the bonds and the connections that we choose to make, and that we choose over the distractions, right? So being mindful to put those in place. To know if I want a relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a dating relationship, whatever it is, I have to put in the time to get those in order for this to work.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of this old proverb that talked about the person living with two wolves, and one is about, good morals, the other is not, and it's whichever you feed, that's the one that's going to grow, right? And I think for all of us, we have to take this daily exercise of understanding, what are we feeding today? What are we giving our time to? Yeah. In order to grow. And so, we leave you with that.
And there's so much to say about this topic, because we talk about things that don't always look flashy, and the mundane in life, and it can look like what am I doing? Like nothing is happening, right? And so it cannot be something that people are praising you for in a moment, right? And that can be like, oh my gosh, I should be doing something else, but like Jermaine is saying, stay steadfast, stick it out. It's going to pay off in the future. Yeah,
absolutely. Y'all, thank you so much. We want to hear from you. Share any thoughts that you have on the conversation that we had today. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us about how some of the ways that you're, staying indistractable, how you're moving towards purpose in your life. But thank you again for tuning in to Relationships and Reason, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.